Kanye West, the name that has been on everyone's lips the last couple weeks. Whether it's him talking about Kim, whether it's him talking about Pete Davidson, or who he keeps calling Skeet. Skeet Davidson.
Skeet. Why does he call him that?
He's just mocking him, innit?
Oh, okay.
Mocking him. Whether it's him talking about Donda 2 that's coming.
Can I just really say, it's not using you in the flow right here, but have you seen the video yet for the Fabio song?
I only saw the clip on his Instagram.
Oh man, I just love what Kanye is wearing.
Well, what's he wearing in the video?
He's got the full biker outfit. It's just some black cloth on his head.
Oh, so you're feeling that outfit now?
No, but I don't like how he's been doing it recently. But yeah, it was like full biker, this one.
Oh, okay.
We'll watch it after.
It's shot pretty well. I've seen the clips on his Instagram.
He's doing the little like Fabio drill dance in it.
Yeah. Alicia Keys is there singing her lungs off. It's shot very well. But yeah, Kanye West, man.
That's the 2022 Run This Town. Remember I said that?
It is giving that feeling, isn't it? It is.
The three of them there.
Yeah, it is. I got that from that as well. But yeah, he dropped his documentary this week, Jeen-Yuhs. Shout out to Kanye West. Directed by Kudi, fellow Chicago native. And episode 1, it's a trilogy, man. It's a 3-part trilogy. They dropped the first episode. And where do I begin with this, Nick, man? Inspirational is a word that comes to mind. Iconic, motivational. I'm in awe. When you watch this, if you watch this documentary and you don't feel inspired off the back of it, I don't think anything will inspire you.
Nothing will.
Honestly, I think Kanye around this time is around 25 years of age. He's a successful producer at this point. And Kudi,
he's successful, but he's not like...
He's not Metro Boomin or one of these guys.
He's just started to break through.
He's got the gold presidential rollie on. He's got a chain from Jacob the Jeweler.
But he said that.
He's got enough money to up and leave Chicago and move to the Big Apple to follow his dreams. And that's where this kind of story starts in the documentary, you know. It doesn't start at the very, very beginning. We see some clips of him with Mason Harlem World where he looks super young. But it kind of starts where he's got his big break from having H to the Izzo, that record, classic record that featured on the Blueprint, take off for him. And then he ended up producing a couple more songs on the Blueprint. And that was the album that ultimately changed his life. That's the one that got him the bag, got him in with Rockefeller. And this presenter at the time, musician / presenter, but his name's Kudi, decides to pack up his own career.
But he grabbed up his own career before that.
What do you mean?
So the timeline, so basically, remember, he's producing for Harlem. He meets him as a kid when he's working with Harlem World. Yeah. But then he decides to go with him before he even making songs with Jay-Z. Yes. Do you remember? Because he's like, I feel like this guy's talented. So he's actually there from the very beginning.
But I'm talking about from when the documentary really picks up and takes off. It's from when he decides, I'm going to follow him to New York. I'm going to follow him to New York and be with him full time.
And the first day he meets him, isn't he rapping with Mos Def and Tyler Quelly?
Yes.
He's in there in the car, innit?
You can see them rapping, freestyling. I think, you know, there's a lot of lessons to take from this documentary. I think one of the main ones is that you don't give up on your dreams. You know, even when people don't see the vision, even when people kind of think, you know, I don't want to say he was a laughing stock, but he was rapping in that Rockefeller office.
And people ignoring him.
Yeah, they bombarded the Rockefeller office. He had the camera crew with him. He's got the tapes. This lets you know how old it is. Was it tapes or CDs he was putting in?
I think it was CDs.
So he's putting CDs in CD players. Remember CD players? He's putting them in there, playing it for people in the Rockefeller artists like head of marketing or people here that deals with distribution or royalties. He's playing it for these people and they're kind of just looking at him like, bruh, like what's this? Like, what is the subject matter you're talking about here? You're a producer. Get back in the studio and keep making those beats, man. Yeah. Cut the mic on. Like, what are you doing here? And he's actually rapping his heart out to some of the most iconic Kanye West songs that we love. All Falls Down, Jesus Walks.
And they're just there like, yeah.
Family Business. Like, these are legendary songs. And some of them are looking at him like, one of them
it
was
just shows you people are sheep though. They also just tell you that people are sheep.
Yeah, and do you know what? I don't want to be too harsh on these people because
people are sheep.
No, do you know why? Because it's easy to say that when you're not the one in the scenario. If we were working at Rockefeller in their position, who's to say we would have turned around and gone, yeah, you know what? I'm going to run to Jay-Z now and he needs to sign this. You don't know you would have felt like that at the time.
But for me, when I'm going to say that, I agree. But so when I mean people are sheep, it's like, if like you said, music's, you can't deny good music.
Yeah, no pun intended.
If a kid came and double down, is like, oh, please listen to my song. If the song's amazing,
yeah,
I'm gonna be like, yeah, this is. But this just tells me people are sheep because the way music goes, popular music and commercial music, it always is of the trend. So if it's not of the trend, a lot of people won't fuck with it.
Of course.
And I think that's what it was, like you were saying before we started. It's like conscious music wasn't the in thing then, was it?
Nope.
Backpacker, he started the whole backpacker trend.
Yeah.
So that for them, they were probably like, why are you talking about this girl has got a debt crisis, is in debt because she wants to look good, and like no one cares about that.
And that's the crazy thing, because that's what people do. They follow numbers. It's all about business at the end of the day. That Rockefeller was part of Def Jam, or they were, I don't know, they had a distribution deal with Def Jam. They're putting up crazy numbers selling gangster rap. At the time they had Dipset, State Property, these kind of people. 50 Cent was just coming out in 2002, 2003. Gangster rap was the thing. If you weren't talking about money, cars, hoes, you were talking about busting your strap or being from the hood. That's what was putting up the numbers. Yeah. So from a business perspective, I'm not surprised that people that are just working within labels are not seeing the vision. Why would they see the vision? You know what I'm saying? And I think one of the key things I took from the documentary was Kanye's ability to understand from a different higher up level that he had a greater perspective than most of the other rappers at the time. He was saying that he's lived a lot of life, whereas a lot of these other rappers, because they've been confined to their hood or where they come from, they can only tell a story from one perspective, a perspective that's already been told multiple times by multiple other rappers. I've traveled the world. I went to China with my mom. I lived in Tokyo. I've done this. You know, my mom's an English teacher. My dad was a Christian marriage counselor, he said. Marriage counselor, so it allowed him to touch on themes like religion, black struggle, poverty, you know, him going to college, seeing other people, girls at college struggling to pay their tuition, dropping out because they wanted to get clothes and stuff. And he's seen all of this, whereas the average person that comes from the hood in America, they're confined to their surroundings. Yeah. Their horizons haven't been expanded. So that gave him that kind of higher plateau to look down and go, I know no one spoke about this. I know no one within Rockefeller is speaking about this. And I know no one within the rap game is speaking about this on this level. Oh, and on top of that, I have the talent to produce the beats that go with this as well. Yeah. I can build the sonics that I want to relay my messages. Yeah. He was at a perfect vantage point to do that, man.
He was.
And you even saw that when he spoke about, when he said, he goes, there ain't no way I should fail, you know? And he goes, like, with the things I've seen, the things I'm going to talk about, there ain't no way I should fail. He goes, but even if I did brick, like, I'm in a position where I've got money from producing, I can take that risk where other people can't take that risk. It's mad the way he kind of looked at it.
It's like, it's just interesting because also I do think, although it's inspiring and I love the documentary, the episode 1, I do think though that when I don't know, sometimes I'm like, it's fate. He was destined. Like he was destined.
You think it's fate?
Yeah, he was destined, man. Because how many other people have tried to do the exact same thing he's done and they haven't got to where he's got to?
But then maybe, how do we know it's not down to his decisions? Because we saw in there, most people hate rejection. He clearly showed he's not afraid of rejection. He doesn't care how silly he looks. And we've seen that throughout his whole career. Yeah. He'll go in the studio. How many people are going to go into an office being signed as a producer? There's probably producers now that want to be artists out here right now. They're not going to bomb. They might now after this documentary. But before, they're not going to bomb and storm their office that they're signed to and go put on a tape for an A&R and just start rapping and have someone just stare at them blankly. They're not going to do that. They're not going to keep hounding radio stations, hounding the top rapper at the label, hounding these people, because most people, once they get rejection once or twice, they go, this ain't for me, man. I don't like that feeling of rejection. No one likes the feeling of rejection. Kanye, to me, is someone that, for whatever reason, doesn't care what people think, isn't scared to feel embarrassed, isn't scared to take risks, How do we know that these conscious decisions that he made just didn't play the role along with his God-given talent to get to where he is? Isn't it too simplistic to maybe just say, this was his path?
Yeah. Facts.
Whereas today, if we go out there, because I got a lot of pride, a lot of people got pride.
Yeah,
I know I could maybe be a bit further than where I am in my career.
Same. Yeah,
if I didn't have pride, you know, if I was one of those people that decided to kiss ass a lot more, or decided to go and just hang out with people,
just to do anything.
Consistently message people on the daily.
Yeah, but I don't feel like he kissed ass.
I'm not saying he kissed us. I'm saying there are people out there that kiss us to get to certain
But the reason
positions.
why he's amazing, though, in that respect, is that he doesn't mind rejection, but he still acts unapologetically like himself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not going into the Rockefeller office and pandering for Rockefeller. He's going in there being everything that Kanye West did. Do you know what I mean? Acting the way he acts, being with the same people he's with, bringing his camera crew, and he's like, this is who I am, take it, but this who I am is what you need. And that's why I love that. He didn't conform from what I saw in the documentary.
One thing I will say, though, to agree with your fate point, and I'm not totally disregarding it, like to look at, unpack this from different angles. If I was to go with the fate angle, the one thing I would focus on would be the fact that the timing opened up for him beautifully. And by that, what I mean is, there was no one really talking about what he was talking about at the time. And he just so happened to get that break with Jay-Z. Because remember, he said that he was in the studio with Jay-Z. He played a ton of beats.
Yeah, he did.
He was about to pack it up and leave. And then the last beat he put on was H to the Izzo. And Jay-Z was like, whoa, stop. And then he just started rapping.
Yeah.
And the rest is history, as they say. After that, he said, what was the funny thing he said again? That remember when he was sitting down talking to his mum, and he was basically saying that all Jay-Z does, he'll play like
he plays music really loud.
Yeah, he plays really loud. He's like, he'll put on 18 tracks that he's made in like 5 minutes. Like, he's basically saying Jay-Z shows off. But it was so interesting, and just on that part about his mum, man, wow.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Donda.
Powerful. Rest in peace, Donda, man. Like, to me, that showed the power of having a parent who believes in their child's dreams, who puts the battery in their back, gives them confidence, even when they feel rejection. When he came back from New York and came back to Chicago and came to check his mum, Coodie was saying that, like, he felt like that was the purpose of the trip. He wanted Coodie and them to see. But he wanted them to see what his relationship was like with his mum, and the strength and belief that his mum gives him. If you feel like your career's not going well, or your dreams, your aspirations are maybe taking a hit, or they're at a standstill, and then maybe you go back to your parents, go back home, or go to your loved ones and confide in them, and they kind of go, not give up on it, but try something different, or maybe it just isn't for you, or there's other things you can do. That's not going to give you the encouragement to go forward. If you go and confide in people and they go, listen, I believe in you, like, you're special, don't ever think you're not, like, be unwavered in your spirit, you're going to go hard again. That's important. You need people around you to G you up. And the fact that it came from his mum, we usually see parents, and it's not to be detrimental, but they want to protect us when you're a parent. They just want most parents just want the best for their children. And they might be saying like, oh, like, go to school, go university, get a degree, get a job, play it safe. And that's not to say that that's the wrong thing to do, because, jobs are important and we need jobs as well. But there's always the age-old argument of, if you go and do something a bit more risky, it's dangerous, and your parents try and shy you away from that. Like, don't go and start a business, you could end up bankrupt, or this, that, and the third.
Don't leave a job because it's security. And
exactly. And they only do that because they want the best for their children. But just seeing something about Donda who's an English teacher, saying, no, you know what? Like, she's looking at his jewelry. Most parents would tell their child off. I mean, she said, listen, you went and got that before you got a house.
But she still, I feel like you said, she just believed in him. She knew, even if you maybe should have bought property, you're going to be all right because I believe in you. Do you know what I mean? And like, she knew she was his biggest fan. She knew all of his lyrics. She was rapping this song. Like, you could just tell she loved their child, and she just 100%. Believed in him.
And even when they went back to their old house, the original house, and you see him in there, and then today he's like a billionaire.
It just makes me think, forget even like even the financial stuff aside, I can see how he had his wobble when his mum passed away, because that bond that you can see on camera, they had a bond, and you could see that. And people forget his mum died doing having an operation for cosmetic surgery, which obviously he paid for because he became rich, and so that would always be in his mind. And people forget these kind of things, like that people are just human and they go through things, and that changes how they suddenly think and how they behave and how they interact with people. So it is even, I think that crossed a lot of people's minds, the fact that his mum was his biggest supporter, was probably a lot of the reason he made it to where he made it. And then the unfortunate event where the things you worked for, the dream, the money and stuff, moving to Hollywood, and then, his mum going to Hollywood, maybe then becoming a part of that lifestyle with cosmetic surgery and stuff, was unfortunately how she passed away. And, he's said he's always felt a bit of guilt for that. And that's got to be something that's hard to live with and deal with and grapple with, especially on your mental health. And I just think even like you said, and they said it, Coodie says it in the documentary, that he felt like the purpose of the trip was for them to see his interaction with his mum, but also for him to recharge and, do you know what I mean, get that energy again for his mum. But so imagine that is your go-to person and suddenly they're gone. Imagine that person's your reasoning, and so I can understand how his life has had to change and it's gone a bit wayward in some aspects because he no longer has that.
I also thought another important thing that I saw in there's so many gems to take away from here, man. They're all just coming back at me. Was, I don't know whether I should start on the jealousy angle or, do you know what? I'll start on this angle. Jay-Z, right? I remember him saying that there's a lot of people when they get in the game, they don't want to come up under someone because they want to be the main guy. And Kanye was saying with confidence, I believe I'm the main guy, but I don't mind being under Jay-Z because Jay-Z's like a mogul. And there's nothing wrong with that. I know where I've got to get to. I remember this was in 2002. Fast forward to 2011, 9 years later, Watch the Throne tour. They are on stage together in his own right next to him. Arguably helping Jay-Z's career at the time. Not to say that Jay-Z had fallen off or anything, but still Kanye was the bigger artist at that point in time. He was the one putting numbers on the board. He just came off the back of Graduation, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. He was the one that Jay-Z teamed up with him. So he was the one that did the creative direction on the Watch the Throne tour, from the Givenchy to the artwork to the sonics of the whole project.
And
everything. So they're both wearing his Yeezy 2s, the Nike Yeezy 2s at the time on stage and stuff. So it's incredible to see someone go, I'm super confident, borderline egotistical at times, but I still know when to rein it in and play my position on this ship to get to where I want to be, maybe co-captaining the ship at some stage. And then even to go even further from 2011, we fast forward another decade. He's sitting down on Drink Champ saying, they're asking him, would you ever do a versus against Jay? And he's like, that's the boss. 20 years later, he still calls him the boss. Even though maybe technically in net worth, he's richer than him now. Even though he might be commercially more successful than Jay.
It's crazy.
He still calls him the boss because he realizes the position Jay-Z played in his career. It's a bit unfortunate seeing how Dame has maybe ended up in all of this, because Dame, it looked like from the documentary to me, showed a bit more faith in Kanye West than Jay did, if I'm being totally honest.
Because even they go to that party and Jay says hello, he kind of just brushes him off. He's kind of not
looking at him. He's kind of like, and even when he says it's training day, and he's like, yo, you want to do it? Well, Dame Dash, did you hear about this? Came out and said him and Jay said, he said to Jay, give him the chain. And then Jay was like, no, you do it. So then he said, all right, cool. He wanted Jay to do it because he's the face of Rockefeller.
Jay didn't want to do it?
No, and then he said, this is what Dame came out and said recently. I don't know if he's lying.
I don't think Dame would make that up.
Dame said he gave, and you see it in the video, he gave Kanye the chain off his own neck. He said, that was my own Rockefeller chain with the yellow canary diamonds.
So where was the other one?
What, the other what?
So what chain did Dame want Jay to give him?
They didn't have it. That's what I'm saying. He's saying we should have got him made a chain and give like.
Oh,
chained
but Jay
him.
said before that show that.
Yeah. No, I don't know if he said it before the show, but he's basically saying like, no, you just give him a chain kind of thing. So it wasn't really planning that way. So then he said he just gave him his own chain.
Did Kanye keep that one?
Yellow. Yeah, he said Dame said he never got it back. He said he better still have it. Kanye. He said I never got that back. He said that was my personal yellow canary diamond Rockefeller chain. It's crazy. And he said like I had to give it to him because Jay didn't want to like. But you know, Jay always wanted to be. We saw it with the Cameron
Jay's
thing.
like he's the figurehead,
the top dog of Rockefeller. You know, if someone was coming up, not that he didn't want them to excel or whatever, but he's still an artist at the end of the day. You know, Biggs and Dame weren't artists on the label. If they were artists, they may have felt the same way. If you're trying to bring, you know, I'm the artist as well. Like you guys are the execs. You handle that stuff. I just
think actually, forget even all that. I just think personality wise, Jay-Z he's from what I've seen, he's a bit like that, isn't he? He's just
head honcho.
Yeah, and also I just don't think he's the kind of guy that in a room is gonna be like bare. Like he's just a bit standoffish and a bit like I'm here, innit?
Yeah. But yeah, there was, and then like I said, the jealousy angle. Doug Infinite.
Where is Doug?
No ID, Doug Infinite, no ID.
Shout out Doug Infinite. Where is he now? Let me check.
I don't know, man. But yeah, you saw the little Chicago beef happening. He went to New York, and then apparently Kanye did an interview with Double XL, and he shouted out No ID and Doug Infinite, but apparently they didn't put it in the final print. And Doug Infinite was upset about it and made a diss track for him and dissed him on radio.
No, Doug's still around though. He's still around with his 4,000 followers.
Don't do that. Don't do that. His name's Infinite. I hope he's still around. If your name's Doug Infinite, you got to be around for infinity, man, or you got to change that name. But yeah, we know No ID's still around. Legendary producer as well. But yeah, it was
massive.
It was just interesting seeing that when you're on the come up, you know, and you go to make your dreams happen and you start getting a bit of success, people maybe from your hometown,
they get jealous.
The green-eyed monster starts creeping out. It's crazy. Kanye, what did you think of his style back then?
You could see it evolving. He started off with the Averex and the braids at the very beginning. Yeah. And then he goes into like...
You can see he always had an eye for something different. Because remember, a lot of people back then could not dress.
And then he started to wear like you're starting to see it by the end of the episode. It's gone preppy, hasn't it? It's gone into like more preppy and a bit of Louis. So yeah, you can see it evolving. I mean, if I didn't know who he was going to become, I wouldn't say he stands out for like fashion. But it felt like he was just a bit different. I just think from that whole documentary, I just think his mind just works different. You can see it anyway.
Yeah, and I think
he just thinks different.
I think it goes again to him being well traveled. You know, seeing different things in life from maybe the average rapper. It's inspiring, man. Yeah. What a documentary. If you haven't seen it, you are playing yourself. You need to go and check that out on some real shit. Like Kanye West knew what he was doing by putting that out. And it's all coming together now. We can see it like from the documentary to Donda 2 coming out this month, if it is going to land, but he keeps putting out track listing, so hopefully it does. To then him announcing that it's only going to come out on STEM Player. This device that he's created where basically you can only listen to it via maybe... Is it only on the STEM Player website or only on this device?
I don't know.
It's either on the device, because there's actually a physical device that you can buy and they send out to you. You can hear the album on that. Or via the STEM Player website. I'm not 100% sure, but you won't be able to hear it apparently on digital streaming platforms. Damn. So Spotify, Apple, Tidal.
But then is he signed to Universal? Is he in indie now?
I don't know what his contract situation is now. I know he was on the last album. Donda was on
Universal.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was his last one.
Surely they wouldn't be happy with him not putting it out on all their streaming platforms.
Maybe that was his last one under that deal. Maybe. We're about to find out. Or will we find out? Because it won't be on digital streaming platforms, so we won't be able to see the licensing at the bottom.
Yeah, but how are they going to make money from it?
That's what I'm saying. So is he out the deal then?
He must be.
He must be out the deal.
He must be.
Is this what he's trying to do?
I don't understand how they would allow him to just do it on his own personal STEM Player.
Do you think all this madness that he's been doing recently with Kim and Pete Davis and all that was to promote these things?
Nah.
Or you think it was genuine and authentic?
I think it's genuine.
I can't. This is the problem with Kanye. I can never tell.
If anything about that documentary showed me, I just think that's him. I don't think he looks at it thinking I have to do this to sell this. This is Kanye West.
Yeah, but let's be real. That's not the same. The person we saw in a documentary 20 years ago, that's not the same person today.
No, but he's very similar.
No, his character, internally who he is, his character will be the same. But bro, like I said, you're not the same person you was a year ago.
100%.
I can't expect someone that was on their grind now to be the same person 20 years later who's had all these different experiences.
He always believed in himself. So I don't think he's someone that thinks I have to talk about Pete Davidson, Kim Kardashian to sell. I think he knows.
Marketing's marketing,
I've
though,
proven
bro.
it with Adidas, with Yeezy. I've proven it at Nike. I've proven it with Gap. I've proven it with Balenciaga. All of these things that I've been involved in, my shit sells. So I don't think he's thinking I have to talk about Pete Davidson to sell. My shit's going to sell regardless.
Yeah, but you say that, but then...
Because you got to remember, sorry to cut you off really quickly, when the Donda listening parties came out, there was no beef with Thing. There was a bit of thing with Drake, but there was no beef. Like, those things were just selling out.
No. First of all, there was a beef with Drake. That was the him and Drake.
That's not why people were buying out those.
I don't know why people were selling it out. We'd have to ask them. All I know is, one, there was a highly publicized beef with Drake that we're not acting like it was some small thing. Everyone was talking about that last summer. Then there was the antics, like we said, of the baby and Marilyn Manson on stage. That was
like the last one.
Setting himself on fire.
That was like the last one.
Setting himself on fire, proposing to Kim. There were a lot of antics going on. Let's not act like... Then hold on. Then the other one was the Justin LaBoy stuff. Even to
but you're talking about the end of the run.
No, because the Justin LaBoy thing was from the very beginning. He was hanging around with Justin LaBoy, and we were trying to figure out why he was hanging around with him. He knows. We have to give Kanye. We can't look at it as a bad thing. I'm looking at it as a good thing. I'm deciding to look at it as a good thing. This guy's a genius marketer. He knows how to market. I'm not saying it's strictly just down to him. I'm not saying it's inauthentic. I think it's a bit of both. I think there's method to the madness, basically, is what I'm saying. I think he does do things sporadically and he does think off the cuff, but I still believe there's a method and it's part of marketing. He knows what he's doing. There's a reason he's hanging around with Justin LaBoy. It's one of the most known toxic meme pages among black culture right now online. It has 5 million followers. It has a lot of influence. He's not just hanging around with him. How far back does Justin LaBoy and Kanye go? Not far as well as I know.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, I can't see a picture without him in the picture now. Then he's hanging around with Antonio Brown, Julia Fox. Why do we forget that he does all these other...
haven't they?
Yeah, because he was just using her to get back at Kim. Now he wants Kim back again. Listen, Kanye, when it comes to marketing, especially 45-year-old Kanye that now has to compete with people like Lil Baby, Gunna, NBA Youngboy, these people... in the Instagram space, in the online space. Maybe not the real world, because we know in the real world he's doing arenas and he's putting up numbers. Yeah. But I'm talking about with the younger generation. He still needs to capture the younger generation to remain relevant with the younger generation, bro. That's just a reality. He still needs to do that. And in order to do that, you got to play some of these internet games, and he's clearly playing them.
I just think he's always said, and even when he went on that first interview with MTV, he just talks. That's who he is. He's Ye. That's what he does.
I think this is what Ye disciples do, man. They just put it down to just that, and they're not giving him enough credit as a businessman. And
no, he's 100% a businessman.
There's method to this madness.
I don't think he needs to talk about Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson to sell a Stemplate. He's not Soulja Boy. He doesn't need to try to sell Soulja Boy game system.
No, but maybe he won't sell 11,000 if he doesn't do this. Maybe he sells 5,000 or 7,000 if he doesn't do all these antics and have the heat on him right now.
Have you not seen? You used to wear them. Have you not seen what he's done with the Adidas Yeezys?
Man said you used to wear them.
They wear them anymore.
I still got a couple.
You still wear them?
Every now and again.
No, you don't.
Kind of every now and again.
When's the last time you wore a pair of Yeezys?
When I have an Adidas shoot.
Exactly. Well then, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you said I don't wear them.
Nah, so I said you used to wear them.
I don't wear them as much. I'm more of a Jordan man. He didn't jump over the jump, man. He needs to retire that bar. He didn't. And I know he keeps sending shots at Nike. He said he said yesterday, what did he say? They just keep pushing the same things from the 90s, like, and you lot get onto me who's forward thinking and pushing creativity forward.